Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Elevating Property Management. I'm Colin Douthit. I'm here today with George O'Brien. Thank you so much for coming on, George.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
George, like myself, is a fellow owner of a property management company. His company's name is Progressive Property Investments. And tell us a little bit about your company, where you guys are at, and how you all operate.
Sure. Yeah, it's company's around 4 years old. We formed it primarily to make sure there's an extra layer of liability coverage there between the ownership and the tenants. And we were also starting to buy some properties with partners, and we wanted to make sure that we were being compensated for the work that we were doing. And kind of grew organically just through our, us building our portfolio up. And about a year and a half ago, we started working under a broker, and taking on some third-party property management.
Okay.
We have about six full-time people that work with us right now. We're looking to expand to keep up with some of our business development growth as far as the portfolio goes. And we're primarily located in Western Pennsylvania, but we're looking at some opportunities to expand down the Rust Belt and maybe even into Florida.
Okay, great. So are you looking at other states outside of Pennsylvania then?
We are.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. So you said you basically started by self-managing properties that you were working on with investors. Similar route to where I started. I kind of started buying my own properties and then formed the company after the fact to manage it as I started getting in with some partners. What unit count did you guys decide to start the property management company?
It was probably a year and a half into buying our first multifamily, and I think we had probably 50, 60 units at that point, and I was still doing all the property management components, running the crews, I had a couple 1099 guys, and we knew I wanted to get to around 80, 90 units so we could hire a full-time operations manager. Okay. That way that person could learn how to do showings, learn how to do tenant placement, and also then handle the construction arm, the work order arm of the company.
Very similar trajectory. It's funny how it parallels. You're like, okay, I need to get a few more doors so that I don't have to deal with all of these details on a daily basis, or I don't have to deal with the upset tenants or fill in the blank.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's great. So you started growing that, and then how did you guys handle, I guess, maintenance, and then how did you handle, renovations? It's kind of two different things there.
So, what we've done is for every property, we put together a preventative maintenance, asset management, checklist. And also we have, ongoing jobs, based on, the renovations. So really we are looking at the flow of those renovations when we're expecting the completion. And then, based on the time period of the year, making sure we're doing all of our PMs with our guys. And, we, with weekly conversations with operations manager, just making sure we have a true understanding of when the renovations are going to be complete, so we can start marketing them. Nothing's worse than having a place completed and then you start showing it once it's renovated. We typically are out in front of that. We provide kind of some pictures of other finished units to the potential residents, so they can see our work. They'll go through the property that's still weeks and months, maybe a month away. They can at least see it. It's always worked well for us because they can appreciate that they're going to have a brand new place. So we really just kind of work, making sure we work backwards from the renovations, making sure our current residents, if they put a work order and it's responded to within 24 to 48 hours, and we are constantly measuring how quickly we're responding, but more importantly, how quickly we're able to solve, their concerns. So it's a balancing act, but
yeah,
my previous job was working in the YMCA as starting out as a sports director, work my way up to a CEO. And it's the analogy I use. It's a lot easier retaining your membership than it is to go out and find new members. And we have that similar philosophy with our residents. We treat them with like customers, and we want to make sure that, they are extremely happy. We can't control, people splitting up, can't control school ending, and can't control job relocation, but we can control how we treat them and the type of property they live in. And that's really allowed us to have really good retention. And even if they're in an apartment, we see a lot of our folks that then gravitate up to a duplex or a single family home.
Okay, because they had a good relationship with you.
Right. So it's
Yeah.
a balancing act, but at the end of the day, you got to make sure you put the customers first.
Yeah, yeah, you have to balance, especially since we're responsible kind of for spending the owner's money, you have to, balance, is this maintenance request something that the owner should pay for, or should the tenant pay for it? And is it something that needs to be done immediately, or can we wait on it a little bit and to maintain them having a good experience, but then also be responsible with the owner's money? So, yeah.
You know, it's just like any business. You got to look at the skill sets of the people that you have working for you.
Hmm.
And some of our guys are not great working with people, so we just leave them in our units to be renovated. And
Yeah.
we have some other folks that have some skill set where they can go and they can go work with the residents, help
Hmm.
them with their needs, and they can communicate well with them. We can pull that individual off jobs because maybe they are just more of a helper or an apprentice to some of those other contractors that we have working for us.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, strategically placing your people
Yep.
has been very beneficial for us in figuring, okay, well, this guy's better at plumbing, this guy's better at electrical, or yeah, this guy shouldn't talk to tenants, vacant
Yep.
units only.
Right.
Yeah, I understand. One thing you said that I would like to dive into a little bit more is you mentioned, you're tracking some metrics right
Yep.
now. Our goal is to make property management a professional industry, continue to make it a better industry with, with how we perform, how we track stuff. Sometimes you get PMs that have a really bad reputation for just totally neglecting properties. Maybe you get a more of a mom and pop operation where they don't really track much. They're still using paper. They're not leveraging technology. And then as we try to step up, we want to be tracking things. One of the things that I hear is, what gets tracked gets done or gets improved. And so if we're tracking a metric, we can then start to work and improve that across the whole company or a multifamily property. So what are some of the metrics that you guys track, I guess, for PM performance or maintenance?
We have a software system called Buildium. It's fantastic. We vetted that with everybody on our team, not just myself and our marketing people, but also operations and then our accounting.
Mhm.
And we just track, number one, how quickly we're responding to inquiries, both from they would like a tour and also they like a work order completed.
Mhm.
And then going into the work order completion piece is just how quickly we talk, quickly are we responding to them,
Mhm.
to how quickly is the work being done, and is it being done as efficiently as possible. Again, a lot of times we'll look at a work order, and if we see there's an opportunity for us to bring a third party and say, for example, plumber, we just can't do the job, but our guy needs to be there because we never allow any of our subs to go into units without us being there. Well,
Mhm.
while we're there, our guy can automatically start doing some of the other preventative maintenance stuff, the walk arounds, the outside property and inside property inspections.
Yeah.
But we just look at it on a weekly basis and a monthly basis. We're also using another outfit to do a lot of surveys, so we can follow up with our residents to find out exactly how well we're performing,
Okay.
both with our current residents, but then also folks that are doing tours with us. And if they
Mhm.
choose not to lease with us, we're looking at our conversion rate of tours to leasing,
Okay.
and we're reaching out to those folks that didn't choose to go with us and finding out why.
Okay. See if you can up that number.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a great metric to track. We currently use Buildium as well, so we've tracked some of that time to completion or task completion time and some of those other metrics.
Nice.
I think the ones that we're starting to focus on have been, our average monthly rent, collection percentage, occupancy, of course, and then month to month leases.
Yep.
We take on a lot of reposition properties, so they have a lot of month to month leases because you know owner operators just didn't do a good job managing the property or whatever reason it was. So, we try to bring value by locking everybody into a longer term lease, so then it's unforceable, et cetera, et cetera. So,
Yeah, one of the things we started doing as well, back in the old school before Buildium, everything was paper copy, a couple writable PDFs. I was doing a lot of those things, Excel checklists. We've been with Buildium for a year and a half,
okay.
and one of the things I wanted to do to kind of make my life a little bit more simpler. We have my wife and I both work W-2 jobs. We have 4 kids, so it was like I want one period of time to be more hectic than anything else, and we made that the lease ups, and most of our leases were ending April, May, June, July, right
Okay.
around that window. And all of our tenants, we'd said, hey, listen, we need to know your intention to renew or what have you, February 1.
Okay.
But now the tricky thing is making sure we have the infrastructure in place to be able to turn all those units
Hmm.
when it's time to turn. So now one of the things we're truly looking on, and we just had a conversation yesterday with my operations manager, was, okay, we have these renovations in the pipeline, but we need to make sure we allocate X amount of time per turnover to make sure our team is not doing full reno, but I need them over here to turn units, because as you know, having a vacancy like that for 1 month for across a large portfolio, you're talking thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
We're really looking, and we're looking at our lease turnovers and making sure we don't have 60 turnovers in June. So
Yeah.
what we're doing with some of our lease renewals, where people right now are saying, yes, I want to renew my lease through 2022, is we might give them a 14-month or 12 or 11-month lease, just so we can start staggering some of those months, and maybe not have so many over a 2 to 3 month period, maybe more of a 5-6 month period.
Okay. Yeah, I can understand that. Do you ever see yourself trying to spread that out to where, leases are just kind of coming up when they come up naturally throughout the year?
I think so. We're taking on about another 200 units here in the next quarter and a half of the year, and we probably have to look at that. Most of our properties are in Greensburg, which is east of Pittsburgh. We have a lot of folks that are coming for school, whether it's undergrad, grad school, doctorate programs, and a lot of the folks are starting in June, July, August.
Oh yeah.
And so we already have a fair number of that. But again, as you know, most people and home buyers, people are moving in the late spring, early summer for their jobs, to start the school year with their children. Hey, I want to buy a place. So unfortunately, a lot of that just happens.
Yeah, it's pretty natural that the summer gets slammed.
We do see an opportunity. I think there could be some opportunities for, around that January 1st. We in our market, we see that as the second busiest time of the year, with people looking for places. But in the fall, it's pretty tough, because there's not a lot of people out there looking, because everybody's already settled in. So if you do have turnover there, it makes things a lot harder to lease. So I think one of our things is going to be really looking at making sure we have the infrastructure in place, even if it's temp work or through subs, to make sure we can turn those over quickly, making sure our back office has systems in place as well to be able to, execute those renewals and those new lease ups.
Yeah, minimizing your vacancy days before it goes on market, essentially.
Yeah.
No, that's great. That's great, and that's a huge value that we can bring by just increasing the NOI or decreasing the loss to vacancy.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you guys, look to the future for your company, what do you want to see for yourself? Not just necessarily unit count growth wise, but in terms of developing better systems or tracking something. What's besides what we just talked about, is there anything else that you guys want to track better, or want to take the next step and
Yeah, I think Buildium does so many nice things for us. A couple of clicks of a mouse, it's you can get things. I want to, me personally, and our top employees at PPI want to make sure we understand the software and we're utilizing it to its full capacity. We kind of got in, we did the onboarding process and the upload, and there's still some things in that software. And I'd say that to anybody, even my YMCA days and some of our softwares that we would get, you get in there, you're using a small fraction of what it can truly do for you. So really want to slow down and make sure we get that buttoned up.
Yeah.
I think there's some opportunities for, understanding how people are hearing about us, get a little bit more strategic as far as our marketing campaigns and where to put those ads so we can drive more traffic. And also the, focusing on trying to get out there and with, doing things like this, to talk about PPI, to talk about property management. We've been pretty fortunate in a year's time. I've been able to grow to just shy of 100 units that we're managing for third-party investors. We've been able to find places for them, and we get small commission on that. We've been able to sell some of our smaller assets that met their criteria, and that now we're still able to manage. So I think that business development side for that third-party management is another big piece. Okay. But you got to be careful not trying to grow too fast there. And then you're still not understanding the system, making sure that we're looking at, all the data based on surveys, feedback, those sorts of things.
Yeah, no, there's so much to take on. There's so much to take on.
It really is.
Yeah, and you can dive into those softwares, and they provide so many great resources, and you continually find more. One from Buildium that we really liked is that they have a lot of integrations with other softwares. So we use their inspection app, Happy Inspector. I don't know if you guys do or not, but it's great because you can build templates and it takes photos. You can make notes for good move in, move out inspection comparisons. So when we're going to the tenant and saying, hey, here's why this money got taken under security deposit, look at the before and after photos, they really can't argue with it because it puts them all side by side, which is really, really nice. Some of their payment options, like the cash pay options, those are always great integrations as well. And then they all have a ton of data that you can pull out of them.
Nice.
Yeah.
What about you guys? What are some of the things that you're really focusing on this coming year?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we had a large growth last year as well. So, making sure that our vacancies are staying low, really getting listed as quickly as possible. We've really been focused on delegating tasks because, as you know, when you start, you're the one that's doing everything, right? So then delegating, hey, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this. So making the delegation, we're bringing on a third party sub to photo all the units because I was the one taking all the photos of the units because I know how to take photos, and people on my team just might not have had the eye for it. So bringing on a professional photographer to take the units, which then it's not dependent on my time to go drive all over the city, go take the photos, get them uploaded. So it's like, hey, here they are. 48 hours later, we've got the photos from them once we finish our clean or our rehab or whatever that is. So speeding up our getting it on the market process is one that we're really going to be focusing on as well. And then those metrics that I reviewed, just really, we've set some goals through job descriptions and as a company to hone in on some of these numbers and hit our targets.
Right.
Whether it's vacancy, whether it's collections percentage, and COVID kind of screwed all that sort of some of that stuff up because getting our outstanding balances down. We inherited a lot of low C-class properties during COVID. So we were hamstrung to an extent on getting that down. So looking forward to being able to move on some of those properties as well.
Great.
Yeah, so we're tracking that, and also our reporting, dialing up our reporting to our owners, tightening that up to where we have a better handle on the information that we're giving them, and they're getting as much, if not more, information than they want on their property. We're looking for another good year of growth, so our goal is 1,000 units in 21. So
great.
So
a total of 1,000 or add 1,000?
Add.
Good for you.
Yeah. So we're going to give it the old college try and get it done. So,
nice.
But yeah, making sure we have the staff in place and the team to handle that's also the trick. So, the one question I like to ask everybody, right, is our goal is to elevate property management. What is one thing you think property managers can do to elevate the industry?
Lots of things. I was always raised that, and it's a very simple thing. You treat others like you want to be treated. And if we can all start there, the basic principle, mm-hmm. It can really change. Okay. Because unfortunately, property managers, even before COVID and all the evictions and people, boycotting paying rent, they just had this negative stigma about, these mom and pop places, they're ruthless. They don't care about the customers, those sorts of things. But if you can truly articulate that you really do care from day one, being courteous and respectful to them, it's going to go a long way. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think too, we all need to work together. What you're doing, trying to bring people to get together to talk about, their challenges, their opportunities, could really allow us to, form a larger group and share. And, that way we can all do better by the industry and help change some of that perception.
Yeah, no, that's great. And, you kind of hit it, right on the head. We need to, have a better relationship with the tenants and with the owners. So we're not looked at in the industry as sleazy or underhanded or ruthless, right? We do need to be caring, and we need to let the tenants know that we care. We need to let the owners know that we care and that we're not trying to screw anybody. We're just trying to manage relationships with two different people that sometimes have very opposing views because we're stuck between owners who sometimes want to spend as little as possible and get as much money as possible, and tenants who want you to spend all that money to take care of every little nick in the paint, sometimes don't want to pay their rent. So, and don't want the rent to go up. So it's kind of a balancing act to be in the middle. Well, I thank you so much for your time, George. I wish you the best of luck in this upcoming year and your continued growth and professionalism. And look forward to continuing to chat with you and see if we can help each other out.
Great. Likewise. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And if anybody wants to get a hold of you to talk to you about your services, what's the best way they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, our website, progressivepropertyinvestments.com.
Okay.
Again, it's progressivepropertyinvestments.com, pretty interactive website. We also, have a presence on social media. We have a
Okay.
lot of people following us, and our phone number and contact information, my email address is all on there. So we'd love to help people. And one of the things, just like, and I know you're passionate about it as well, is just educating and
Mhm.
mentoring. And like, I have tons of people that have a small portfolio, and they just want to pick my brain of how I started building, and then
Mhm.
also how they do property management,
Yep.
slowly, because some people still want to have their hands involved in it. Other folks say, absolutely not. I don't want to have anything to do with it. I'd like my check in the mail, my automatic EFT. Thank you very much. But other than that, so it's just about educating. So I'm here to help anybody, whether it's a fellow property manager owning your own company, or someone that's mom and pop and just looking to start out.
No, absolutely. Well, that's great. I love your mission and your willingness to share that information as well. So again,
Sure.
thank you so much, and we'll be in touch.
All right. Thanks so much.